5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the MCTV Weekly News Update. I'm Katherine Janiszewski.
And I'm Peter Malavenda. Tonight we dive into some interesting topics such as the recurring healthcare stall, the latest and greatest in Hollywood news, and a Tennessee man who is crying in the most unusual way. We will also take a look at some international stories such as the tragic tale of a little girl from Greece, a new fashion trend for poultry in England, and a thirst quencher that is costing many in India their lives tonight. Now we have a lot in store for you, so let's jump right into our top story. The threat of default has been put off, but the healthcare problems have not been solved overnight. Provisions in the agreement made by Congress last week mandated that there be a way to protect against fraud and identity theft when it comes to health insurance. However, President Obama's online health insurance website has seen a bumpy road. The site is not fully functioning, and even though problems have been identified, there is no initiative being put into place to fix these problems quickly. Hopeful that the site would be up and running by November 1st, administration officials are getting advice that the site may not be operational until after December 15th. This may cause a lot of problems for those Americans who are looking to sign up for health care coverage starting in January.
75% of Americans say most Republican members of Congress do not deserve to be reelected, and 54% say most Democrats don't deserve another term in office. That's according to a new CNN ORC poll of 841 registered voters. 42% say they would vote for a Republican candidate in the U.S. House in their district, while 50% say they would vote for a Democratic candidate. Democrats have an 8-point advantage over the Republicans in the battle to control Congress, according to the poll. The 2014 midterm elections are more than 1 year away. So Peter, how are you feeling about all of these new government issues that we're having?
Well, thankfully the government has reopened and millions of people who had no jobs can finally get back to work. I think there was something out in the news that it cost the government $24 billion to shut down.
And that's money that we don't even have.
Exactly. In addition to all of our mounting debt.
We have now what we lost on the shutdown.
The situation will push things off for a little while, but we're going to need to readdress the issue.
Absolutely.
Well, heading over to China, some of America's favorite reality shows, American Idol and The Voice, are being mimicked. However, government media restrictions are cracking down, and these primetime favorites are on their way out. David McKenzie has the story.
Chinese will be seeing a lot more of this on their television, with the government clamping down on what it calls excessive entertainment, restricting the amount of foreign licensed shows on its satellite TV.
The main targets, say industry insiders,
That's what I
wildly
originally
popular
thought, but
reality
then I was like, wait,
shows
this is
like
what it
Dragon
didn't sound
TV, Chinese Idols, modeled of course on Fox's American Idol and licensed from the British edition. There's also The Voice of China on Zhejiang TV, modeled on The Voice. And yes, China's Got Talent. The shows have a huge following in China, and executives here, like in the rest of the world, license hits to minimize their risk and maximize their ad dollars. But in 2014, stations like Dragon will only be allowed to license one foreign concept a year and won't be able to air it on prime time. The government, which owns all Chinese media outlets, says it's a way to push morality building and more Chinese content. Critics online say it's protectionist and short-sighted, with one netizen calling it cultural dictatorship.
Millions in China have already migrated away from the television to the internet and mobile devices to get their content. One media professional told CNN that these restrictions are like the era of Mao. David McKenzie, CNN Beijing.
Parts of northeast China, including the city of Harbin, are under red alert due to heavy smog. It's so bad that people in downtown Harbin couldn't see 50 meters in front of them. Schools are closed and some people are being told to walk rather than take the bus. The smog is expected to get worse. CNN's Tom Sater has more.
Streetlights barely cut through the thick smog blanketing an almost empty street. The smog, a combination of fog and pollution, moved into the northeastern Chinese city of Harbin last Thursday. 11 million people live there. The smog got worse this weekend when the government turned on the city's coal-powered winter heating system. Now the smog level is 40 times higher than what is considered safe by the World Health Organization. Schools closed, the airport shut down, and police tried to help manage traffic. But driving in smog is hazardous.
The vehicle ahead of me stopped, but I didn't see it because the fog was very heavy. When I saw the vehicle ahead, it was too late.
Residents took to China's social media site Sina Weibo to express their frustrations. One user wrote, "The current status is, I can't see my dog when walking it, only seeing the leash, but not even my hand." Another user offered this, "Beijing, you are not fighting alone. Our slogan is, if we have to have smog, it has to be the best one." And this user said, "Let's just go sell masks and now make tons of money." Stop dreaming. You think people can actually see you? Many who decided to go outside did wear masks to help prevent breathing in the smog, but the government is advising people to stay indoors. Tom Sater, CNN, Atlanta.
Well, the air in China is not the only air you should be careful of. Breathing in that so-called fresh air is not as good as you might think. Air pollution is now classified as a carcinogen and is linked to cause lung cancer. The top sources of outdoor air pollution include transportation, power plants, and industrial and agricultural emissions. A correlation between air pollution and heart disease, respiratory ailments, and increased risk of bladder cancer already exists. With all that's going on in the government, all that's going on in Congress, it's hard to pass any sort of clean air legislation right now, but it's something we should pay attention to.
Of course we should pay attention to it. We already have the Clean Air Act, which is in effect, but judging how our Congress can't even pass a budget, I don't think that they'll be passing any environmental laws soon, even though they should be considering it, considering how harmful clean air now is.
I agree. We really have to pay attention and be careful to what air we're breathing.
I agree. We have to be much more careful. So, attention Yeti enthusiasts. This past week, a professor at the University of Cambridge announced that he has found a genetic link between what is called the Yeti and an ancient species of polar bear. The two samples of the Yeti were taken from India and Bhutan within the past 40 years. The man who performed the test, Brian Sykes, concluded that the samples were direct descendants of prehistoric bears and said, quote, "It may be a new species, it may be a hybrid. The next thing is to go out and find one." According to a professor at the Natural History Museum of Denmark, Tom Gilbert, the conclusions provide a reasonable explanation for Yeti sightings.
It's so cool when these kind of studies come out.
It's such an interesting study that I found. I can't believe that they actually have a reasonable explanation for the Yeti now. Everyone's called like a nut who thinks it's real, but now I guess their claims have more weight to them.
Yeah, slowly but surely, scientists are debunking all of the things that we consider to be absolutely crazy. And it's really promising for our future, and I look forward to seeing what happens.
I agree. It's really cool.
Well, speaking of polar bears, is it really getting that close to winter? To update us on your weekly forecast, here's Jordan Carter with your weekly highs and lows report.
Thanks, Peter. Am I the only one who enjoyed the sun yesterday? High temperatures gently passed by the East Coast as the sun shined at a high of 67 degrees during the early afternoon and students coming back from mid-semester break. Thank you to the joyous sun. For now, as we look towards the northeast, chilly weather is on its way. Daytime highs at mid-50s, overnight temperatures in the 30s. Some areas are to be as low as in the 20s. Fairly warm and no case of wind by Friday. Heading across the planet, Mexico City is rapidly anticipating a Category 3 hurricane. Disorderly winds increased from 40 miles per hour on Sunday morning to 125 miles per hour by yesterday. This massive rainfall could threaten lives with its powerful flash flooding mudslides near and inland from the Mexican coast. Let's get back up to date regarding our neck of the woods and see what today looked like. Tonight's skies will continue on to be mostly clear with a speedy breeze and low of almost 40 degrees. Winds will seemingly slow up to 10 miles per hour and humidity will remain exceptionally high. For tomorrow, expect partly cloudy skies with a comfortable high of 54 degrees. As we look on toward the end of the week, the moderate warmth will still be here. Expect warm temperatures on Friday and no wind in sight. Saturday looks just about the same with a high of 53 degrees and partly cloudy skies. Nothing is expected to change as we look into next week. Partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-upper 60s, and indulge in the autumn air. Continue to enjoy the fall weather, my fellow Red Foxes. That's all I have for you this week with their highs and lows report. I'm Jordan Carter. Back to you guys.
Fall at Marist College is one of the most beautiful things you can ever see.
I'm excited. This is going to be my first one, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I know. Jordan, it's been getting cold out there.
Man, you need your scarf, and you definitely need a longer coat. Definitely for this temperature.
I know. I just brought my coat back last week, and I'm glad I did.
Man, it's coming. Hudson, need to beware. Hudson, beware.
Temperatures were running high in Cleveland. 21 people set themselves on fire. But why? For more on this heated story, we go to Sulin Surfidi. This week's Take a Look at This.
Ignite! Take a look at this hot night in Cleveland. 21 people set themselves on fire in an attempt to break the record for most people performing full body burns. A representative from the Guinness Book of Records was on hand. Each person wore protective clothing covered in a protective gel. The event also raised money for charity. Take a look at this huge land art in Belfast. A team of volunteers used thousands of pegs, soil, and sand to make the 11-acre portrait. The picture of a 6-year-old girl was made to celebrate the Belfast Festival, which opened last week. In all, it took 18 months of planning, and then the team completed it in about a month. And athletes from all over the world gathered in southwest China to take part in an international base jumping event. According to state TV, 34 top jumpers took the plunge from a bridge about 1,200 feet above a valley, pulling off turns and dives. For Take a Look at This, I'm Sunlin Sarfati.
Remember when your parents told you to never leave your drink unattended? Well, people in India this week are dealing with much more than spiked drinks. Over 40 people have died over the weekend from drinking bootleg liquor laced with toxins. This isn't your classic case of a loaded drink. Over 30 people have been arrested for illegally brewing and selling beverages laced with pesticides and other chemicals that increase the strength of the liquor. This practice is fairly common in India because it is the only kind of alcohol the poor can afford. Many victims purchased the bootleg liquor for celebrating the Hindu festival Dussehra, the triumph of good over evil. Well, how ironic that the triumph of good over evil is being plagued by people dying.
It's horrible. I don't understand how anyone would do this to a fellow person and put pesticides in someone's drink, knowing that that would be ingested.
I guess they're trying to make alcohol strong enough that these people would want to consume, and
it still has to be cheap.
And it still has to be cheap.
Unfortunately.
But a celebration is going horribly wrong here, and
it's costing people their lives.
Yeah.
So, in other sad news, a Roma couple has been charged for the abduction of a little girl. A blonde-haired, blue-eyed 4-year-old called Maria by the couple was found in poor living conditions with poor hygiene on Wednesday when police raided a gypsy camp. The couple claims they adopted the girl from her biological mother. A search for Maria's biological parents has begun, as well as an investigation of international child trafficking rings. The president of local Roma community, Baris Demetrio, stated, quote, "It doesn't reflect all of us, in hopes that the incident does not create any repercussions to his community. Photos of the girl have been released, and suspicions are on the rise because of the difference in complexions of the girl compared to the couple." I feel so horrible about this little girl. I don't understand what happened to her, and if those people truly were taking care of her, it's horrible that now she's separated from them.
This is the news today. Abductions, death. It's really, really terrible. And I don't know.
I've heard it compared to the Madeleine McCann story and how these 2 little girls have been taken away from their families and no one really knows what happened to them. Except in Madeleine McCann's case, it's her parents looking for her. And in this case, unfortunately, we have the little girl and we're looking for her parents.
Well, if you've ever had trouble picking up your textbooks on time, a startup rental company in Australia has an out-of-the-box solution for you. The company, known as Zucal, will begin using unmanned drones to deliver their textbooks to U.S. countries by 2015. The locations of the drones will be able to be tracked by smartphone and will hover near the customer and drop off the book. These drones are built with anti-crash technology and lack cameras to avoid privacy issues. A test flight has been scheduled for November.
We all know Jim Carrey from his numerous comedic films, but the actor has turned a new page in his career, targeting a new kind of audience. CNN's Anna Carrera has the details.
At age 51, Jim Carrey still knows how to capture an audience.
There's nothing interesting over there. They're all out of 50 Shades of Grey.
But on this day, his pint-sized fan base drinks juice boxes, sits on the carpet, and with legs crossed.
Every time I turn a page, I want all you kids to go, whoosh!
It's exactly what Carrey is hoping for, adding a new title to his long list of credits, children's author.
I am drunk with my own self-importance. Really, truly. There's like nothing I can't do. It's amazing.
All kidding aside, Carrey's story centers around an anxious wave named Roland, who hopes to better understand his purpose in life.
Is afraid that one day when he hits the beach, his life will be over. But when he gets deep, he's struck by the notion that he's not just a wave, he's the whole big wide ocean. So it's that feeling of that ultimate fear that when it actually happens, it's not bad, and you actually just go into a different phase and a different kind of feeling and awareness.
Our cameras caught up with Carrey at a book signing in Atlanta, but the two-time Golden Globe winner has also been seen around town for other reasons.
Austria? Well then, good day, mate.
Carrey and his co-star Jeff Daniels are making the sequel to Dumb and Dumber. That's right, Lloyd and Harry are back. It's a film almost 20 years in the making.
What do you think when you see that picture? What comes to your mind?
I think I'm amazed at the wonders of ink printers.
Yeah.
It's just right there for us, anytime we want it. You know, it's just friends getting together again, you know, for me, absolutely.
Can you give us a little taste of what we can expect in your new movie?
No, I can't.
A little just teaser?
How's that, right there?
Jim Carrey.
All right.
Taking on a new chapter in his life and making plenty of laughs along the way.
Digging into the bucket of KFC may have you reaching for a bib or a towel to put around your neck. However, in Great Britain, things are being done a little differently. Domestic chicken owners are dressing their flocks in specially designed fluorescent bibs that make chickens easier to spot. The bibs keep the creatures seen in autumn evenings to protect them from motorists. The product was intended for the growing number of people who are keeping chickens as pets. The vests went on sale earlier this month. They are available in pink or yellow and cost about £12.
Sticking with Great Britain and their unique inventions, a bar is going green, literally. The bar is covered in grass, supposedly to enhance the taste of their whiskey. We head over to London with CNN's Jim Bolden for more.
Don't adjust your set. These people are bathed in green light while drinking whiskey. And that's living grass lining the bar, still growing in dirt. Apparently, under these conditions, the earthy tones of the whiskey are brought to the fore.
When all the senses come together to convey that notion of grassiness is our belief, and we have the results to demonstrate now that notion of grassiness will come out in your judgments of a glass of whiskey.
Sensory expert Professor Spence is working with drinks giant Diageo to entice bars and restaurants to think more about the environment. The bright green lights and grass are an extreme example and an experiment. But the point, your lasting memory is based on the environment as much as the food and drink.
We work with top chefs who spend all the time, as I say, working on the great food and don't think about the environment, and they say that doesn't matter. For our clients, our customers, it's just about the food, that's it.
That's the green room then. No prize for guessing this is the red room. The idea is the red lighting, the round red fruit, the tingly sounds is supposed to enhance the sweetness in the whiskey. This sensory branding team says curved red surfaces do the trick.
The sensory environment affects your perception of taste, so it can dial up different flavors depending on what you're listening to, what you're touching, the materials around.
So the flavor's already in the whiskey, but I may notice something different given the fact that I've got round fruit and a red light.
Absolutely, it's about enhancing the different characteristics and notes that you have in the whiskey rather than creating something that doesn't exist or changing fundamentally the taste of the whiskey and the flavors that are within it.
They claim companies pay too much attention to the visual.
Sort of 85% of all spend by businesses and brands is on the visual, yet we know just as humans how important it's this interaction between all the senses is, and yet we don't cater for that.
It could be one day when you book a table, you might just ask for the table under a green light or a red light, or the booth that smells woody or leathery. Not sure about the turf and dirt though. Jim Bolden, CNN, London.
Moving back to national news, the box offices have been booming with the recently released Gravity and Captain Phillips, and it's every young fan's dream. A Jonas mansion for sale? For today's Hollywood Minute, we go to Calandra Quarter.
Gravity continues to have a strong pull at the weekend box office. The space drama starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney was #1 for the third weekend in a row, grossing another $31 million. That brings the film's domestic total to more than $170 million. Captain Phillips, starring Tom Hanks, held its ground in its second weekend in theaters. The film was once again in the #2 spot with another $17.3 million in ticket sales. And the thriller based on the Stephen King novel Carrey rounded out the top 3, scaring up $17 million in its debut weekend. Reality stars Kevin and Danielle Jonas are ready for a new address. The eldest Jonas brother and his wife, stars of Ease, Married to Jonas, have put their Denville, New Jersey mansion on the market. The listing price? $2.2 million. The home is 7,200 square feet with 5 bedrooms, 5.5 bathrooms, a billiard room, and a home theater with a stadium seating and a 3D projector. The couple is in the process of building a new home in the state. For Hollywood Minute, I'm Calandra Quarter.
Same-sex marriage is officially legal in New Jersey. Several couples did not waste any time tying the knot just after midnight on Monday. The marriages were described by some as historic and emotional, bringing tears to some guests' eyes. One long-awaited wife, Karen Nicholson McFadden, said, quote, "It's utterly pure and complete relief to finally be here. It's been a crazy, long road." She finally married her partner of 24 years, Marcy. The man who recognized many of the midnight marriages, Reverend Thomas Favinsky, said the gay marriage in the state was long overdue. New Jersey is now the 14th state to allow same-sex marriage. I'm really happy for these couples finally being able to marry the one that they love.
I'm happy too. It's great. It's about time that this happens, you know. People should be allowed to get married if they want to.
And just because you're the same gender as someone else should not prevent you from being with the one you love.
I completely agree, and I hope that other states continue to take suit.
I agree.
Good. Well, it's just about time to turn our clocks back for daylight savings. But what does that mean for our sleep? For the story on sleep patterns and tips to keep you wide awake this season, Shelby Lynn has today's Health Minute.
It's time to fall back an hour. Sleep experts say, although it's easier for you to gain an hour than to lose it, it doesn't mean your inner body clock or circadian rhythms aren't affected. But there are ways you can reset your sleep patterns and prepare for the change before daylight saving time ends. That way your sleep won't be interrupted. Doctors recommend you modify your schedule early. Do this about a week before the change. Set your clocks an hour behind and try to ease into the new sleep pattern. Keep hydrated. Drinking lots of water helps the body adjust. After the time change, stay active during the day and do something relaxing a few hours before what would normally be your bedtime. And if you are taking medication, begin to take it a little earlier, especially if the medicine affects your sleeping habits. Doing this a few days before the change actually helps regulate melatonin, a hormone in your body that helps your inner body clock adjust, leaving us with a good night's sleep. For today's Health Minute, I'm Shelby Lynn.
In Tennessee, a man sheds tears of blood. This alarming medical condition called hemolacria is very rare. Surprisingly, some of the only other victims are from Tennessee. 7 years ago, Michael Spann began to experience painful headaches and bleeding from his eyes, nose, and mouth. What was once a daily occurrence now unexpectedly takes place once or twice a week. Doctors continue to struggle to find a cause and treatment for the condition.
You can get pretty much anything you need on the internet, from life to death. All your supplies are available online, but there are some things that shouldn't be sold on sites like eBay. One of those things is breast milk. Apparently, this new trend is not only causing critics to cringe, but it is also concerning health professionals. Recently tested breast milk that was traded online showed contamination. High levels of bacteria were found in the milk. Some even contained salmonella. Mothers with an oversupply of breast milk are looking to sell or donate their milk to mothers who have a need for it. In the instance of adoption, however, services like this may sound appealing. However, it is very dangerous to give a baby breast milk from a relative of the mother, let alone a complete stranger. There are some things that you just don't do. Selling breast milk online is one of those things.
I really don't understand why someone would be urged to do this, and it's very frightening to me.
I guess people want to make money. People think that they're doing something good, but there is a great risk of disease with this, as it says, an illness.
And it's hurting the child.
Right. We don't want to put children at harm here.
No. Well, it looks like that's all we have for you this week. You can tune in for next week's October 29th live show at 9:30. I'm Katherine Janiszewski.
And I'm Peter Malavenda. Thanks for stopping by.